Have you ever wondered what events took place in August of 2000? Well, if you're like me, you would be because that's when I was born. Some of you, maybe not so much. Um, but my name is Alexander Farkas, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a speech about some of the events and some of the things that happened in August of 2000, which is my birthday. So, first, I would maybe kind of like to talk a little more about like music and entertainment and things like that. So, with the music, one of the things that I found, so on the music charts for August of 2000, one of the top, two of the top songs. One of them was "It's Gonna Be Me" by NSYNC, which I thought was pretty cool because that's a pretty popular song. Um, and then the other one was "We Will Rock You," but it was the remix of um, Queen and Five. So Queen was a part of it, but it was the other band Five, and they kind of did like their own little remix with it. So that was those were on the top charts. Lifehouse, pretty popular band. They released their single "Hanging by a Moment," which is probably one of the most popular songs that most everybody knows from the band Lifehouse. I thought that was a pretty popular song. That was pretty interesting. And then Madonna also released her single, which is called "Music," and that was on August 21st. Madonna, for me, that was actually kind of cool because I actually go to Madonna University, so I thought it was cool that like Madonna released a single during that month. So then if we kind of move on to like celebrities, as a lot of us know, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, they actually got married in Malibu on August 29th in 2000. And then we obviously, a lot of us probably are familiar with Will Ferrell. He married Becca Paulin because they were both on Saturday Night Live at the time. They got married in August 12th of 2000. And then another really big thing, just kind of sad, but he's a really big name, Alec Guinness, the actor who played Obi-Wan in the original Star Wars movies. He actually died from liver cancer on August 5th. But I thought he was a pretty, I love Star Wars growing up, so I thought it was kind of sad that, like, once I was born, unfortunately, he had to go. But then moving on, I wanted to kind of go to sports. So one other thing I found with sports, Jerry West, he was like a huge basketball star back in like the 60s and 70s, played for the Lakers. He actually just kind of retired like officially from basketball because he was the executive vice president of basketball, and he retired on August 7th. And then we had a woman, her name was Meg Mallon, and she won by 1 point in the Canada Open Women's Gold on August 13th in 2000. And then another big name, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods actually became the first golf player since Ben Hogan to win 3 majors in just 1 year. So it's kind of interesting, like, when in that month, Tiger Woods was that's when he was starting to really like become more popular and make a name for himself. He was breaking a lot of records, essentially. And now, in the month of August, there's not really a lot of sports information because most of the major sports are usually not happening in August. But those are some of the few things that I was able to find that I thought were pretty interesting. And then I kind of want to move on to some more like historical events. So kind of stepping away from some of the stuff that doesn't really matter that much, more like historical events that have a little more significance. So one of the things I found was the Confederate submarine, it was called H.L. Hunley, was raised to the surface after 136 years on the ocean floor in August 6th. So that was pretty cool. And then there was actually another submarine. It was called the Oscar-class submarine, K-141, Kursk of the Russian Navy, and that exploded. And it sank in the Barents Sea during a military exercise on August 12th. Unfortunately, that took the lives of a lot of people, but that was 2 different, things regarding like, one was retrieving a submarine that sank from the bottom, and then another one unfortunately exploded and sank to the bottom. And then another event that was actually pretty tragic. It was a Gulf Air plane, an A320. It crashed into the Persian Gulf. It was near Manama, Bahrain, killing 143 people on August 23rd. So I thought that was a really significant event, and sometimes it's good to kind of bring these things up and talk about them just so people can remember, because I had no idea that even happened. So I'm glad I was able to at least research it and find out that happened, so that's something I could kind of think about more. And then I also found out that a 450-meter tower, it was called the Ostankino Tower in Moscow, caught on fire. That actually killed 3 people, and that was on August 27th. So that was, a few things I found in that month and year that were pretty tragic, kind of sad. It was unfortunate, but I'm glad I was able to research these events because they were things I had no idea even happened. So I was glad to learn about them. So on a better note, the South African president, Thabo Mbeki, unveiled a women's monument, which was commemorating the role of women in the anti-apartheid struggle. So that's, something more positive. He created a monument for some of the women in their role in the anti-apartheid struggle. So that, that's something that's pretty cool. And then another thing I found, President Clinton, he actually called on the nation during one of his addresses, and he was basically kind of telling the people in order to protect his achievements in office, that they should elect Gore as his successor. And he actually said this on August 14th in 2000. And then another thing I found was kind of more on a sad note. There were some wildfires that happened across the west from Montana to New Mexico, and they had an estimated $1 billion cleanup cost. So that was pretty significant. So then if we kind of move back onto like entertainment, some movies really. A really popular movie, Space Cowboys, starring Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones. That was released on August 4th. I know that's a pretty big movie. I personally never watched it, but I know it's a popular one. Another really popular movie, The Crew, which had Burt Reynolds, Richard Dreyfuss, and Carrie-Anne Moss. I remember Carrie-Anne Moss from The Matrix, but that was released on August 21st. And then we also had The Art of War, that was starring Wesley Snipes and Donald Sutherland, and that was released on August 25th. So, that pretty much wraps up my speech. So I just kind of want to maybe just go over some main points that we talked about. So like with music, it's going to be me, and then that We Will Rock You remix. Those were on the top charts. And then Lifehouse released that Hanging by a Moment single, super popular song. Celebrity, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston got married. Those are 2 huge celebrities, even still in 2022 now. We're talking 22 years later, they're still big celebrities. And then unfortunately, Alec Guinness, the actor who played Obi-Wan in the original Star Wars trilogy, passed away. And then in the sports, Tiger Woods became the first since Ben Hogan to win 3 majors in a calendar year. So that was Tiger Woods was kind of making his way up. And then Jerry West, huge basketball star, pretty much just retired completely from basketball in his involvement as the executive vice president. And then some historical events, a lot of tragic ones, but the biggest one was that, when that plane, the A320, crashed into the Persian Gulf and that killed 143 people. That was a really significant event. But on a better note, that South African president that we talked about, Thabo Mbeki, unveiled a women's monument commemorating the role of the women in the anti-apartheid struggle. So that was something that was a little more positive. And then with the entertainment, we had, the movie Space Cowboys came out on August 4th, had Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones, 2 huge actors. And then we also had The Crew, which was starring Burt Reynolds, Richard Dreyfuss, and Carrie-Anne Moss. That was released on August 25th. So those were, just some movies that were released during that time. Some really big names, some really big actors. And that pretty much wraps up the speech. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to the events that I was able to research that happened the month and year of my birthday.